The president began his day meeting with the man who will be the next king of Saudi Arabia. President Trump showing off all the shiny American military hardware that the Saudis will soon be buying. But it was Russia that quickly rose to the top of the news. Meeting in the Oval Office with the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman today, President Trump revealed a plan to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
We will probably get together in the not-too-distant future so that we can discuss arms, we can discuss the arms race.
Talk of a meeting came after President Trump called Putin to congratulate him on his latest election victory, a call during which the president mentioned nothing about election meddling or the nerve agent poisoning of a former Russian spy in Britain.
I don't believe it came up on this specific call, but it is something that we've spoken extensively about.
Did the recent poisoning in the United Kingdom come up in the call?
I don't believe that was discussed in today's call.
Arizona Senator John McCain chastised the president for the call in a statement saying an American president does not lead the free world by congratulating dictators on winning sham elections. Even the Senate Majority Leader gave President Trump a rhetorical back of the hand.
When I look at a Russian election, what I see is a lack of credibility. Calling him wouldn't have been high on my list.
The congratulatory phone call aside, the White House today insisted it is getting tough with Russia, but said it doesn't have much control over who gets elected in Russia or how.
We don't get to dictate how other countries operate. What we do know is that Putin has been elected in their country.
The investigation into Russian meddling got another news bump today after President Trump added former U.S. Attorney Joe diGenova to his outside legal team. diGenova believes there was a conspiracy against the president at the highest levels of the FBI.
There was a brazen plot to illegally exonerate Hillary Clinton, and if she didn't win the election, to then frame Donald Trump with a falsely created crime.
In the wake of Andrew McCabe's firing from the FBI, President Trump went on a Twitter rant against the Mueller investigation, repeatedly calling it a witch hunt, tweeting that it should never have been started. But the White House again stated the president is neither thinking about nor has plans to fire Mueller. Mitch McConnell gave Mueller a big thumbs up today.
I think he will have great credibility with the American people when he reaches the conclusion of this investigation.
President Trump also vented his frustration at sanctuary cities today, convening a group of like-minded lawmakers and law enforcement officials, vowing a crackdown on cities he says are violating federal law.
Sanctuary cities are dangerous, and we're going to take care of the problem.
And President Trump waved a scolding finger at Iran today, reminding that the Iran nuclear deal is up for another sanctions waiver decision. The last time the president signed a waiver, he indicated that he wasn't going to keep doing that from now until the time that the time is over. But the president saying today, when he was asked what he was going to do about Iran, said, well, we'll see what happens. Brett?
The next chapter. John Roberts live on the North Lawn. John, thanks.